Ainsi, tant à l'intérieur qu'à l'extérieur, le Congo nouveau, notre chère République, que mon gouvernement va créer, sera un pays riche, libre et prospère. Mais pour que nous arrivions sans retard à ce but, vous tous, législateurs et citoyens congolais, je vous demande de m'aider de toutes vos forces. Je vous demande à tous d'oublier les querelles tribales qui nous épuisent, qui risquent de nous faire mépriser à l'étranger. Je demande à la minorité parlementaire d'aider mon gouvernement par une opposition constructive et de rester strictement dans les voies légales et démocratiques.
This is a story of hope, betrayal, and tragedy. A story that resonates deeply with the African soul. It is the story of Patrice Lumumba, the fiery young leader who dared to dream of an independent Congo, only to be betrayed and murdered by the forces of imperialism. This is not just history, it is a wound that remains open. Born on July 2, 1925 in the village of Onalwa in the Kasai region, Patrice Emery Lumumba grew up in the shadows of colonial oppression. The Congo was then under Belgian rule, a rule established by King Leopold II, a king whose greed and cruelty turned the land into a nightmare. Under Leopold's personal regime, the Congo became a plantation of horror. Millions were mutilated or killed in the brutal quest for rubber and ivory. Though Belgium later took control of the Congo, the suffering continued. The Congolese were denied education, freedom, and dignity. This was the world into which Lumumba was born. Yet he rose above his circumstances, becoming one of the few Africans to receive formal education. His brilliance and eloquence earned him respect, but his political awakening came later. While working as a postal clerk, Lumumba's exposure to the inequalities around him deepened. He became active in anti-colonial movements, and his oratory skills soon made him a prominent figure in Congolese politics. By 1958, he founded the Mouvement National Congolais, MNC, a party advocating for national unity and independence. In 1958, same year he founded the MNC, Lumumba attended the All-African People's Conference in Ghana, organized by Kwame Nkrumah. This meeting of minds ignited his Pan-African spirit, and Lumumba returned to the Congo with renewed vigor, determined to lead his people out of colonial chains. The Congo achieved independence on June 30, 1960, but the ceremony was fraught with tension.
L'indépendance du Congo constitue l'aboutissement de l'œuvre conçue par le génie du roi Léopold II, entreprise par lui avec un courage tenace et continuée avec persévérance par la Belgique. Elle marque une heure décisive dans les destinées, non seulement du Congo lui-même, mais je n'hésite pas à l'affirmer, de l'Afrique tout entière.
King Baudin of Belgium, speaking as if colonialism had been a benevolent project, enraged many Congolese. Then came Lumumba's turn to speak.
Combattants de l'indépendance, aujourd'hui victorieux, je vous salue au nom du gouvernement congolais. À vous tous, mes amis, qui avez lutté sans relâche à nos côtés, je vous demande de faire de ce 30 juin 1960 une date illustre que vous garderez ineffaçablement gravée dans vos cœurs, une date dont vous enseignerez avec fierté la signification à vos enfants pour que ceux-ci, à leur tour, fassent connaître à leurs fils et à leurs petits-fils l'histoire glorieuse de notre lutte pour la liberté.
His words shattered the walls of civility. Lumumba's speech was a thunderclap, a moment that declared the Congo's independence was not a gift, but a hard-fought victory. While it inspired his people, it also made him powerful enemies. The West, fearful of losing control over the Congo's vast mineral wealth, began to conspire against him. Within days of independence, the Congo descended into chaos. Belgium-backed forces in Katanga, a province rich in copper and uranium, declared secession. The United Nations, controlled by Western interests, refused to help. Lumumba, desperate to preserve the Congo's unity, turned to the Soviet Union for support. This move, in the Cold War's polarized world, was a death sentence. In Washington and Brussels, Lumumba was labeled a communist. The CIA and Belgian intelligence plotted his overthrow. Joseph Mobutu, an ambitious young officer with CIA backing, seized power. Lumumba was arrested, humiliated, and paraded before the cameras as a warning to all who dared to resist imperialism. On January 17, 1961, Lumumba was flown to Katanga, where his enemies awaited him. He was tortured for hours, beaten mercilessly, and finally executed by a firing squad. But the cruelty did not end there. His body was dismembered and dissolved in sulfuric acid by Belgian operatives. Only a few teeth and bones were kept by these Belgian officers. Gerard Swete, one of the Belgian officers involved, later confessed to this heinous act.
L'homme qui était chargé de ça, le Belge, m'a appelé dans son bureau et il a dit, voilà, vous allez vous occuper de ça. J'ai dit, je veux bien, mais qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire? Cet homme-là qui m'expliquait ça, était lui-même, avait participé à tout ça pendant la nuit, avait proposé à Lumumba de faire ses prières avant de mourir, et Lumumba avait refusé. Donc cet homme était complètement... Et nous sommes retournés à la même place le même matin.
Ça se voyait, le massacre qui a eu lieu?
C'est évident que ça se voyait. Il y avait même une main qui sortait de la terre. Un des morts. Eh ben, on a coupé les corps en morceaux. Enfin, ils ont été enterrés 2 fois, hein. Mais alors, on les a coupés en morceaux, on les a brûlés. On avait aussi une énorme quantité de l'acide qu'on met dans les batteries. Qu'on met dans les batteries des voitures. Et dans ça, on a donc la plus grande partie des corps a été...
Dissous.
Oui. Et alors le reste, on a brûlé. Hein. Mais il fallait faire ça sans que les Noirs le voient. En pleine forêt. C'est aussi un problème, ça. Vous êtes là à 2, nous étions 2. Et on devait faire ça tous à nous-mêmes. Enlever les 3 corps de la terre. Les couper en morceaux, les détruire. Et tout ça ne pouvait être su de personne. Et c'était su de personne. Personne n'a su ça. Et il y en a même qui croient qu'il va revenir. Hein? Alors il doit venir avec 2 dents de moins devant.
This was an attempt to erase Lumumba, not just physically, but from the annals of history. Yet their efforts failed. Lumumba's death was a devastating blow, but it galvanized a generation of African leaders and freedom fighters. He became a symbol of resistance against neo-colonialism, a martyr whose dream of a united independent Congo continues to inspire. Today, the Congo remains a paradox, a land of immense wealth and deep suffering. Its resources, which should uplift its people, are still exploited by foreign corporations and local elites. But Lumumba's dream lives on. It reminds us that the fight for true independence is far from over. Patrice Lumumba was more than a man. He was an idea, an unyielding spirit. His murder was meant to silence him, but his voice echoes louder than ever. As Africans, we must honor his legacy by continuing the struggle for justice, dignity, and unity. The truth cannot be erased. It lives on in our hearts, and it will guide us forward. Thank you for watching. If Lumumba's story moved you, share it, discuss it, and let it ignite a passion for change. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us in exploring more untold stories of our continent. Together, we can keep history alive and inspire the future. Afri-I.